Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm going to go ahead and give you this quick tutorial on how to connect to Amazon Web Services and use that instead of Cloud9. Actually, it is Cloud9, it just got purchased. So there's a little bit of differences from my previous videos that I used for my classes in the past. So for those of you who are new to Amazon, we use GitHub to host our website. So my website, for example, looks like this, and it's actually hosted by GitHub. So if you aren't familiar with this, GitHub will host your website for free. GitHub is a repository hosting website, so a lot of people use it for coding. But one of the cool benefits is that it actually allows you to take your username and do .github.io and host a repository, which will actually be live on the web, and you don't have to pay anything. So that's why we use it for all of our classes. So all of my students, for example, theirs ends in .github.io. So let's go back to Amazon real fast, because in order to do the coding, the environment we use is on Cloud9. So when you go to Amazon or aws.amazon.com, I've already created an account for all my students, so you're just going to go ahead and click sign in. And when you do this, you're going to use your school email. So the one that ends in @redlandsschools.net, that's the one you're going to use. You won't know your password because I didn't set it for you. It's just some random password that I don't even have access to. So you'll just go ahead and click forget password and reset it through your email. Again, using the Redlands Schools. Once you've reset your email, and log in, the first time you log in, you'll see this console. It's like, what do you want to do? Like, what services do you want to do? We're going to ignore all of this. I mean, you guys will have access to this, so if you're curious, you can go ahead and snoop around. But just type in Cloud9 to the search bar, and you'll see that it does indeed own the IDE for Cloud9. So when you first sign in, you'll see, okay, here's AWS Cloud9. What do you want to do? It kind of gives you some tutorials on how it works and creating an environment, etc. We've already created an account for you, so you don't need to do that. And the environment I'm going to walk you through right now. So I just want you to go ahead and click this orange button right here, create environment. You can name it whatever you want. I'm just going to call it tutorial for today, since we're making a tutorial, and this is not a real workspace. But now there'll be a lot of options to configure here, and you don't really need to change any of them. So the default is going to use, I mean, last year we did use Ubuntu, but I haven't really noticed any difference for our purposes using the Amazon Linux. So we'll just leave everything the same here. There is some cool stuff that you can do here. So it seems like it is different, but a little bit more professional, I think, probably stuff that we don't actually even have the knowledge to use. But later on down the road, I don't know, maybe if you go into web programming, you'll be more inclined to use some of those other options. But for right now, we'll just leave everything as a default and go ahead and create your environment. Now, this does take a while, and actually what I'll do is, while we're doing this, I'll go ahead and log into um, GitHub. So all my students already have their GitHub accounts created, hopefully. If not, you're going to have to create an account. But remember, your username is going to be your website name. So if you wanted to change that, you have to do it. You want to do it right away. So, and the way you could do that, by the way, is you go to your profile, I believe. Oh no, it's settings, I believe. Settings. And then you'll go to your account, and here you can change your username. Now be careful when you do, it'll have all these unintended side effects. So you really don't want to do this often, but if you wanted to say, oh, I actually want my website name to be beachgirl758, then you would do that first, because that is going to be your website's name. So we'll leave it as it is. So we'll leave it as not Natalie for today. And we'll go ahead and create a new repository. So she just created this account, so there aren't any repositories there. So we'll go ahead and click new. Now the repository name, it has to be, no, I could make any name I want, but for the website, the rule for GitHub is that it will only support one free website, which is your username, which in this case is not Natalie, .github.io. So this part has to be there on everyone's website. So every person will have the same ending. The beginning will be whatever your username is. And that's why I was talking about if you wanted to change it, you should do it before you do any of these steps. If I were to then after change her username, this would no longer be supported. So it would just be a regular repository. It wouldn't actually be a website. Okay, now, important to note, all of these, well, we're not going to use we are going to use the command line, but we're going to do it in Amazon Web Service. So we don't need to do echo. We're just going to start with get init. So you're going to go through all of these lines of code, all of them. And so I'm going to, basically, I'll put this side by side so there'll be two windows so you can kind of see how they work. So some of these, you'll start to memorize these eventually, but you'll see this is just basically an empty website. Actually, it has a README because when you create the environment, it makes a README for you. So you wouldn't need to do this get add, but I'll do it anyway just to show you. So if I do get init, that's going to initialize an empty repository. It's a Git repository, and later on I'm going to push that into GitHub. So right now this is a blank folder. It's just blank, and this is what you get when you get a setup. There's literally no code in this repository. There's nothing here. So I'm going to follow these directions here. I'll go ahead and do get add. I'll do readme2 just to kind of show the two different ones. Oh. I guess you have to do README. I guess it has to match. I'm learning as I'm doing this, but I'm gonna get this done. So git commit -m. If you know why that is, please comment below. Then maybe I'll get a comment on one of my videos. All right. So again, I'm just going through these. I'm doing my first commit. You may or may not get these same errors that I do because I actually have set up another account on here. So I'm not sure if you're going to see this exact same thing. But in either way, you should see there is a file change, 14 insertions. That's the actual right here, all this stuff. And those are the lines of code that were added. So this is actually a file. It's right here. It's being displayed right there. Oh, sorry, it's right here. So there's 14 lines of code. And so that's why it says 14 insertions. So anyways, now we're going to add this entire thing. So I'm just going to copy and paste it. So what does this mean? You're going to remote add origin. And so basically I'm going to add the origin of this repository as the github.com/username/username.github.io.git because it's a GitHub repository. So now when I do that, I press enter. It doesn't look like it did anything, but now I can actually push some stuff here. And actually, before I do it, let me make a new file just to test. Oh, actually, you know what I'll do? I'll save it as a website, save as index.html. For those of you who are familiar with websites, index is the default name for home. So this will be the homepage.html. And what I'll also do is I'll just make and notice the moment I did HTML, it kind of like did the little green circle. So what that means is now it actually knows what I want to do. So it starts to auto-complete my tags for me. And so I go, my website is alive. And so now, what's cool about Cloud9, let me just make this bigger. So first of all, you got to save it. If you see this little dot here, you want to make sure you save it. But what's cool about this is now I can see my website before I push it to GitHub. Okay. So now if I do here, I do get status. And all of these commands, by the way, you'll see I've got a couple of new things that I've done. So what I need to do is I need to add those changes. So add dot. And then now I can commit them. Second commit. And by the way, whatever you type inside of this message can be anything you want. So since our first one was our first commit, I just chose second commit. You can see it added a whole bunch of different stuff because I've actually added a bunch of different things when I did that. I didn't do it, but Cloud9 did it for me. And now when I go ahead and push this to GitHub, because let's go back real fast to GitHub. If I look at this website, it's still the same. There's nothing in it. So remember, this is happening in a different website. This is on Amazon. This is in GitHub. GitHub has no idea what I'm doing over here, even though I have made all these changes to the website, which is connected because I've used the origin right here. So I have to actually push all these changes over to GitHub for it to actually affect my real website. So for example, if I went to notnatalie.github.io, it's not actually a web page. There's nothing there. So let's go ahead and push this over there, and then that will change this. Uh-oh. Oh, I have to do this. Git push. Now it's going to ask me for my username and password. So that is not Natalie. So remember, we're using the username at GitHub. So you'll do not Nat. Make sure you don't mess up, because if you mess up, it won't work. Natalie. And then you'll have to type in your password, but it's not going to show it. So I actually was just typing it. You couldn't see it, but it will just do it. And if you did it wrong, like I did, then you'll have to try again. So I'll try again. Not Natalie. And then more careful. Now I did it correctly, typed it in, and so it's kind of hard to do your password because it doesn't show it on purpose. But if it does it correctly, it'll go through, write all this, and now if I come over here and refresh, voila, it's actually got this stuff. My website is alive, and now when I click on here, it's alive. So this is a real website, and you guys can go check this out. But hopefully by the time this video is posted, this website is different. All right, so that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Once we've got it all set up, we can now make all our changes in GitHub. Enjoy the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for your alerts.